I use 4 tools on my master channel to reference my rough mix against a professional release to actually very similar results, to get some hints what I need to work on to get a really nice and tight mix. So let's jump in. Hey friends, Silvano here from roughinstudio.com. So today I want to share 4 tools that I use before I start the mix. I actually listen through it and then analyze, making some mental notes, and I already have some kind of a vision how it should sound, right? Before we get into it, I just quickly wanted to mention my 7-step low-end checklist. If you struggle to get the kick and bass level right and tight and punchy and balanced, I have a 7-step low-end checklist for you. It's actually an ebook, I don't know, 20 pages long or something, with all the tools, techniques, frequency chart that you can use for mixing your future tracks. So use it as a reference guide. You can download it for free, of course, so just check the link below. So yeah, now let's jump in. I already have my reference tools ready to use as FX chain, so, and I added it to the collections, right? So here you can add collections, organize them and stuff, and label them. So I have them ready to go. So then I go to a busy part, right? And by the way, this is a track that I produced, I don't know, 1 week ago or something. And currently I try to finish my tracks up to 80%, 1 track a week at least. That's the minimum I try to do. And I don't care about perfectionism, I just create, and that's why I want to, or tell myself to, that the track just needs to be as good as 80%, right? So here are my 4 tools that I use for referencing before I start mixing. The first one is a really simple tool. It's an NTPD tool Lite, which means Notepad. It's a Max for Life device. I actually don't know where I get this from. Elephant maybe. It's a good channel there. And I like to do it like this, so I'm not fooled by the actual tracks, right? Yeah, I just see the timeline and then I close my eyes and listen through it. So let's actually play the most busiest part here. Just listen. Again, I haven't listened back to this track for probably, yeah, maybe a week. No less, maybe 2 or 3 days. I always try to give my brain at least 2 to 3 days until I get to the mixing part. And before that, this is just playing, being creative, producing, banging out. I don't even care if something is clipping, I still can tweak it, right? So, because if I would think about the technical things while producing, it would destroy my flow mode. So, yeah. So let's have a listen now. But anyway, you saw I was just listening and banging out notes that popped into my mind, and now I already have some kind of a plan what to do in my mixdown. Next tool, the adapter from Plugin Alliance, and the reason why I use this tool is because it's very simple to use. I click on sync, and now it's synchronized to the Ableton session, and I also use the loudness match button, of course, right? And it has some more functions, but mainly I use it for the level match function. By hitting one button, it's level matched, and we are not fooled by the loudness, right? Because louder always sounds better, right? So if the reference track would be even more loud than my track, I would think it's even more better sounding than mine, right? So let's have a listen. So the reference track has way more space, more depth to it, right? And that's what I wrote down here somewhere, I don't know. Hi-hats are probably too loud. Let's take another one. Yeah, the only, not the only thing, but the main thing that would really move the needle, in my opinion, is the creating more space for the tracks, right? This can be done by reverbs, different style of reverbs, like I showed in another track. EQing, just making space for the low end. There are probably some low end frequencies in other tracks too, like the pads and whatever. And the rest is panning, some compression maybe. But I think we can manage this. Now, this adapter has another cool function. Actually, it has way more functions, cool functions. For example, we can listen only to the sub frequencies. Double check. This is mine. And I can hear the pad sound. So this tells me that it takes up space in the low end, this pad sound. So I need to double check the low end on the pad sound, right? Because I don't want to mess it up, my low end. I can probably get a punchy low end if I just make space for the low end by cutting out lows on instruments where it's not needed, right? So I don't need to tell you that, but I still see and hear a lot of people miss this out. I don't know if it's because of the room, or maybe because of the speakers, I don't know. But with the headphones I can really hear it properly. On some instruments that there is still low end there. And if I just cut out all the lows up to, I don't know, 100, 130, it makes a lot of space for the kick and the bass line. And just a little reminder if you missed that. Then we can also just listen for the mids. Highs. Yeah, this is too sharp. Too narrow. This is nice and wide. I want it that way. I will probably do another video on how I worked around to get that result. And then this is the filter section. Then we have another cool feature, spectrum. So you can actually really compare both files. I can even layer them. Look at this. The blue one is mine. Orange is the reference track. Actually not too bad, I guess. But what is bad is this one. This is actually the stereo width, right? And the interesting thing happens here in the low end. What I was just talking about. I tend to monoing the low end up to at least 100 Hertz, because then you have maximum punch. And in this track it's Well, yeah, it's around 140, sorry. And here on my track, it's not mono. Wow. And I believe as soon as I make it mono, let's quickly do that. Way more punch. Listen to the kick. It has instantly more drive just by monoing the subs. And just by referencing, we got this little hint what we need to do. Can do a layer again. But yeah, it's a really cool tool. I can even check the dynamics, but I don't use this too much. We can go really crazy with this tool. But honestly, you just go and use a tool that can level match level match your track against the reference track. This goes a long way. And then just listen with an EQ to the lows, to the top end, to the mids, and then figuring out what needs some work. And as you saw, the bass monoing the bass goes a long way. I don't know. I'm not even sure if I need to adjust something with the bass and the kick. It sounds already better. Maybe some EQing. So the next tool, which is a really fun to use tool, is the mix checker. But to be honest, I don't use it too much anymore. The mono button is cool, of course, but you actually can use the simulation buttons, so you can double check how your track would sound, for example in a TV, right? On headphones, on a tablet, not on a tablet, on a smartphone, on a tablet. Let's see how the bassline translates to the laptop speakers. Probably interesting to hear. Yeah, like it. Sounds really small, my track here. It's probably also not mono compatible. And then the best tool, I think, in my opinion, is the tonal balance. So what this does is it spits you out an average frequencies response line of a bunch of tracks. So you can basically choose a set of reference tracks, actually a folder, which is this one. I have reference tracks here, and then it spits out an average line of all the tracks. I have maybe, I don't know how many tracks, and let's have a listen. So this reference track is yeah, it sounds great. So if our line is staying inside this range, we can somehow compete against the reference track, right? Because this is an average line of all the reference tracks that I've chosen, who I think sounds good to my ear. It also shows you where you need to work on. So I banged out those notes here. Now let's double check with the tonal balance here. Around here, 5K maybe. So our job is basically just staying in this average line, but it's actually not too bad. But if I work with those notes here, I'm sure I can make it sound good. On this one, I just need to adjust the kick and the bass line a little bit, maybe in volume, the hi-hats, and I want to move them a little bit more here and there. And yeah, that's it already. So to sum it up, Notepad, to actually listen to your track, best is to leave some space between production and mixing, and then just close your eyes or whatever, and then bang out notes, whatever pops into your mind, right? And then the second one is the adapter from Plugin Alliance for the usage of reference tracks. You can also use the compensator Max for Live device. It's also really cool. It's way cheaper than this one. Then the mix checker. I use this mainly for mono check, for the mono check, I don't know. And sometimes I double check just for fun if it sounds good on laptop speakers, like before. If the bass line translates, the mid bass maybe, to those kind of speakers. And then the other last tool is tonal balance. I use this just to double check what I wrote down here and to get a little bit of a visual feedback. I don't just rely on looking at this. Sometimes it says it has too much low end, but sometimes it just feels right. And if I double check it with a reference track, it still sounds okay. And here it's a little bit on the upper side, but it's still in the line, right? So like here, let's listen again. Oh, it's good. It probably will come up a little bit when I give every element its own space and the pad sounds and the synth sounds come through a little bit better and show up better. Because at the moment my rough mix sounds like it's really small sounding. It sounds like it's just sticking on the wall, right? It's not nothing 3D kind of feeling. It's like a picture just on the wall, but I want to have it like a 3D model out of it, right? So I like to think about this. So yeah, those are the free tools. Those are the 4 tools that I use for referencing and to start my mix. I hope this helps. Now your job is to actually find your very own reference tool set. It doesn't need to be the tonal balance. If I would need to choose just 2 tools or 3 tools, I would get this one, because then you have the notes ready just in the session, take it off or whatever. Then tonal balance as a visual feedback, and as an audible feedback, some sort of plugin that loudness matches quickly your rough mix against the reference track. I would recommend the adapter or the compensator Max for Live device. I showed how to use it in another video. For myself, I got used to this one, and that's why I use it now. But yeah, other than that, save it as a referencing tool chain, and then you're ready to go, I guess, for mixing. Now, if you have problems to mix the low end, the kick and the bass line, I have my 7-step low end checklist ready for you to download for free, of course. Just go to the link below and yeah, have some fun. So yeah, that's it. Hope this helps. Let me know. Cheers.